Ron Holt, you are in for a cool interview. Here's the thing. When you listen for the part about Highway number 10 or Highway 10 or Interstate 10, whatever it is. That's my favorite part of this interview. So listen in, and then we'll discuss.
Sounds good.
It's good. It's good.
It's good.
Name what movie that's from. The actor goes, it's good. It's good. It's good.
It's good. I know that. I know it, but I can't see it.
I'll give a little more context. It's around a popular holiday, and he is frustrated extremely of all the problems. So he runs over and gets eggnog, drinks it, and he takes a big swig of this eggnog and goes, "It's good, it's good, it's good."
Is it Elf?
What?
Is it Elf?
Close. It's a Christmas movie.
National Lampoons.
National Lampoons.
Yes. Chevy Chase.
I see him now. I see it.
Yeah.
I see
He's
it
got
now.
the moose mug, right? It's a moose mug.
Is that how the moose thing came to be your house's iconic?
Oh, not from that movie.
Oh, okay.
It came from when we were in Maine. We saw so many meese.
Meese, of
Plural
course.
for moose.
Yes, of course. Sweet.
There's meese everywhere. There's moose everywhere. And we had so much enjoyment there. Chris was like, oh my God, there's another Michalowicz moose.
Oh.
And then it became our
theme.
Family crest. So when we were young, we made a family crest. The family made it. And the center was the Michalowicz moose.
That should be your nickname. Moose.
Moose. I love it.
Moose. My nickname was Stork. That was my high school nickname from the college, from the football team, because of my lankiness.
Oh.
Yes. I looked like a stork when I left it.
I love that.
It's a good nickname,
It's a good visual, too, when you say stork. Yeah.
Were you like really big on the top and with these just like skinny chicken legs? Is that what it was?
No, I was just skinny. I was just same height and in half my current weight. I'm skinny now, half my weight.
Get out of here.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were built like John Henry, like my son.
Just like John Henry. Well, actually, they used to call me John Henry also. They're like, you're the future John Henry.
Sometimes they just called you Cartelli.
All lanky. I walked like this down the hallway. Big floppy goofy shoes. Blah, 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 blah.
How much do you weigh right now?
What?
How much do you weigh?
I weigh 188 this morning.
All right. I'm 6'2". When I was in high school, I was the same height that I am now. I wrestled 145.
Wow.
I was like skinnier than you.
Skinny. But jacked.
No, there was like nothing. It was awful. I hated it. Like I didn't wrestle my senior year because I worked, but my junior year, I was like miserable because I cut so much weight.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been down that low weight class.
Yeah, so there's a certain point where it becomes dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Segue to Ron. How do you segue?
How do you segue to that one?
He's good at it. He'll figure it
out.
He is.
Yes. No. So Ron, the interesting thing about Ron, he's obese. He is massive. Like you've never seen a guy this big. No, he's not at all. You saw the video. Here's what's so interesting about Ron, to me. First of all, he never expected he would clean houses, right?
Right.
Are we back from the interview? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
We are back. Yeah. That was.
Okay. I don't remember. Okay.
I forgot where we were. Yeah. He's never. He never intended or whatever to clean houses, but he did. He did to learn the work. He only alluded to that briefly. But my favorite thing was riding down Highway 10, going to competitor after competitor, to saying, "Hey, what's your ideas?" Like, who does that?
That's what I was thinking. Like, wait. I kept saying, well, how did that work? And then you asked the question for me. So I was very grateful for your interview just then, because you said, like they took you in. He's like, oh yeah, I was down in Florida, and this was out in Austin or wherever it was, and makes sense. But it's brilliant. That's brilliant to do that.
I'm surprised how many people will just invite you in, sometimes out of bravado to show off what they've done.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's out of
kindness.
Kindness.
A willingness to share. A willingness to
just help another guy out.
Yeah.
The abundance mindset.
Yeah. I love that.
I see it a lot. Like, I guess the industry that we're in particular, I can't think of one author. I can think of very few authors who say, "Get out of here. They're a closed book." Most of them, everything they know.
Yeah.
And the belief, I think, in the authorship industry is if, whoever sells a book on systemization of a business and that serves that person, that person's going to want to read more books about systemizing their business to perfect it. And then they may discover clockwork or something.
Right.
So these authors get that the success of their book or someone else's book furthers the interest in that category and everyone gets elevated.
Right. Smart. I
Yeah.
like that. I love the attitude or the mindset of that.
Yeah. And I think with cleaning, like, listen, these competitors, maybe they said it out of arrogance just to show off how successful they were. But also, the more people nationally that buy into the idea of I can get my house cleaned, this used to be something for the elite.
Right.
Now, people that are middle income are doing it for the convenience.
Right.
And maybe that, if my competitor in another state is successful, it just furthers that belief and we'll get more business here because people will talk about it more.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I was Go ahead, Jer.
I was just gonna say there's a lot of industries that are adopting similar models to that. Like even private flights now, they're not
Right.
relegated only for the rich. You can actually charter a private flight with a small group of people, and you pay. It's less than a first class ticket, depending.
In some cases, yeah.
The way that it works is once they fly out to their destination with the private party, whoever rented the whole plane, they have to fly it back. So instead of wasting that, then they just try and book other people individually and make a
Oh,
group in order to get back
that's
to the plane.
interesting. I haven't heard that. That's really cool.
I have a friend, he used to fly up Morristown. He had to go to uh, Chicago or something regularly. But instead of flying Newark, New Jersey to Chicago, he'd fly Morristown, which is the nearest airport here, which is a small I think it's private,
Hmm.
to a similar size airport outside Chicago, which is actually closer to his client. And he'd be on a private jet that has like 12 people on it. And to
Mhm.
your point, it was just jets returning back and they have 12 seats. It filled up and he was paying less than first class. And this was a regular route because it was like a corporate jet or something
Mhm.
um, that some business was using and they would just outsource it for the return flights. It was
That's so
amazing.
cool.
It's gonna
That's
be so
really cool.
cool too because you get to the airport, you don't have to go through all that security stuff. You just
No,
somehow, I don't know how, but you get on the tarmac and then you literally just walk out to the plane.
I've
Have you
flown in a private jet twice in my life.
Ooh, what was that like?
Just what Jeremy said, like you show
Okay.
up at the airport and you just walk in. Like there was nothing. You had to walk through a little security thing,
Right.
but there was no security line.
Right.
But my favorite part is where we sit down, the whole party, there was like 6 of us or something flying together, and, the pilot is sitting with us, and he looks around and he's like, "Hey, is everyone here?" We're like, "Yeah." And we're leaving in an hour because like, no one has flew private before. He's like, "Well, you guys wanna go now?"
Oh,
We're like,
we could do that?
"Yeah, doesn't the flight depart in 1 hour?" He's like, "We're all here." We're like, "Uh, okay." And
Yeah.
like,
sure enough,
on a
What's it
Taiwan
like to not sit in an
trip,
airport for an hour before you
bizarre,
fly? That's awesome.
bizarre.
That
do you
would
start
make me so much more comfortable that it's the sitting around and
Oh, no sitting.
waiting. Oh, I love that.
The whole Cartelli family's here? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
Yeah. Let's make
And
this
there like, no
happen.
waiting, you don't have to wait, like, oh, the 10th flight to take off. It just we went down a runway, zing, and,
It's like clear for airplanes.
2
I
they
love
still
it.
have 2 pilots. They had, an attendant. So you
Yeah.
still did, like I can't
Drink
remember if there was
service or something or
I can't remember the safety instructions. I think they still did that. And, yeah, whatever they want. It's like, "Oh, what would you like for your meal?" I was like, "What do you have?" Right. "Well, what do you want?" And now in advance, you could ask, like, 6 different things. So, but they were like, they cooked the steak there. It wasn't like, "Oh,
yeah.
we're gonna throw it in the microwave." I think they
Right, right.
actually cooked it, if I remember. It was crazy.
That would be lovely.
you're all relaxed and you're having a couple of drinks at the bar until you realize halfway through that the guy you're doing shots with is the pilot. All right, come on, guys.
It's like, "Ah!" Yeah.
That's so funny. You know what I loved about Ron's, story or his business is this employee dream program he's doing with them. You know, he's
Yes.
facilitating these things and making it something bigger than just himself for all of his employees. That's was really admirable and really, really cool.
That's derived from a book called Dream Manager by a guy named Matthew Kelly.
Mm,
It's a great book. Um, and the book is about this company called Janko. I mentioned it during the interview.
mhm,
Mary Miller and I've become friends, and spoke with her about 6 months ago. Um, they've advanced that Dream Manager program even further, so I'm just learning more about it. They don't call it the Dream Manager, by the way. That was a term that the author Matthew Kelly assigned to it.
okay.
But it's I really do think that's insight is fascinating. That no one dreams, is born saying one day I'll be a janitor
Right.
or And maybe that's not true, but she said, all these people hire, job is a means to a certain outcome.
Yeah,
And I think that's true for a lot of jobs. A lot of people don't say, "Oh, this has been my whole life. I couldn't wait to do X."
right,
But we do all have a whole life. My whole life, I can't wait to do something, and then the jobs can be a means to get there. And if we
right.
as a business owner understand that, we can help facilitate that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. That's really cool. And for the first time, it put in my head that my son, who's a biochem major, like Ron, could end up doing something else, which never occurred to me. And I thought, huh, I wonder if he's even thought about the entrepreneur bug
What would you study in
that had
school?
me. I was a psych major.
Psych. What did you study, J Bone?
Business.
Okay, so you're in it, but psych. Well, listen, it all applies, but who knows what their vocation is going to be? I
That's
didn't
true.
study writing or literature.
Yeah. I know. Look at you. Look at
Yeah,
you.
look at me. I
You
studied
know,
how to drink a lot. The
there's
other thing I thought was interesting that Ron shared was that with his licensees or franchisees, I guess, that when they have no money, they listen intently.
Mhm.
Do have money, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah. Didn't
And
we had a we circled on this recently, I thought, in one of our conversations with
I
was that
think we
you,
did.
Jeremy? Was that you,
that
Jeremy? That we circled on that thing that in the beginning, when they have no money, they're gonna listen intently, and when they do have money, they're gonna wanna just do their own thing. I thought you had mentioned that recently too.
did talk about that. I can't remember if that was on another episode or if that was just internally.
I can't remember
Yeah,
either.
yeah. There is something about these types of jobs too they don't get credit for, where some jobs are so mentally draining that you're constantly thinking and using your brain all day long, and you're mentally exhausted by the end of the day. But with a job where you're doing like house cleaning, it's not super mentally exhausting. It's like a little bit of physical work, but you can get in your own head and almost like meditate while you're doing it because you don't have to think about it. And I think that there's a benefit to that kind of work. When I
Yeah.
worked in the grocery store and I was just doing stocking, I my favorite thing was working in the cooler
Mhm.
because it's like I just could shut my brain down and just stock stuff, and
Yeah.
it was
I worked for the
almost
county library doing shelving for 8 hours a day, and I know that sounds horrible, but honestly, it was meditative for me. It was just organizing, putting things into the proper place, and I was in my own world. I didn't interact with people, and I just like the yeah, just it was meditative. I like that. I could see myself doing house cleaning too, actually, because I like the before and after effect.
Yeah.
I like all of that and the ability to stay in your own head constantly.
I do like repetitive processes that are so repetitive that there is no active thought required. It just becomes subconscious because
Mhm.
then your mind, like to your point, goes becomes meditative.
Yeah.
So when we first started out and it was just me, and we were selling used books, I was selling like 20 to 50 books a day through our office and the rest elsewhere. So I'm packing 20, 50 books a day, and each one would take like 2 or 3 minutes. So it's a couple hours a day in some
Right.
cases of packing books. I had such a routine down.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Just
Yeah. Yeah. And
in the
it's good.
end, going to the post office, with bins of books, it felt so good.
Yeah, yeah.
one of the things that I was always impressed by, Mike, was when, we worked at the other office,
The factory?
no, Myrtle before
Oh,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And some days it would just be like you and me, but you would be doing a ton of interviews. And so I would be able to hear the interviews. And depending on the topic subject, because it's new information, even though you've already said this information a million times, it's new to
Listener?
the
Yeah,
you present to. And you were still enthusiastic and you still made it fun for them.
yeah,
And I was always amazed by that because I'm thinking, wow, like that's awesome that you have that memory to just go on these talks, but
yeah.
it's like you would hit specific points throughout the talk, and to do that with enthusiasm and continually do that
Oh,
day by day,
thank you.
Yeah.
it's like it's really something cool.
It's
Thank you.
impressive. It really is. It's
You
impressive.
know, things I heard, 2 bands in one band interview, do you remember a band called Warrant from the
Yeah.
Mhm.
'80s? Okay. They had a song called, Cherry Pie. My cherry pie, whatever.
Mhm.
The writer of that song, who sadly, Leany, I can't remember his name, Leany something, he committed suicide. But,
Mm.
um, what was interesting was he was interviewed and he says, "I wish I never created that effing song." He's like, I hated it because it's all people wanted. As a juxtaposition, there was another band. Can't remember who it was, but it was a massive band. Say it was the Eagles, and they were being interviewed about Hotel California. They play millions of times, and they said, "Thank God we created that song, because that is our theme. That's what everyone wants to hear, and we play it with such excitement, even though we've heard it a million times. The person listening, it may be their first time experiencing it live or first time experiencing it all.
Mm,
It was just such interesting. We're so grateful for this because I got to do it over and over, or I hate it because I have to do it over and over.
right. It's perspective,
And
right?
both are defining you. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's perspective.
That is so cool.
I
Yeah.
always wondered that about bands, because they become big because of, one song, and at a concert, they have to play that
Have
song.
to.
Yeah.
People are gonna be upset if they don't play that song. And so I kinda always felt bad for musicians because they're in this creative space where they wanna play, like, the newest thing that they came up with, because to them, it's exciting and new, and they're showing, like, their side. But then it's like, "Okay, now we gotta go back to the hits and play the hits just to make
Yeah.
everyone happy."
Yeah.
Isn't it the entrepreneurial journey? Like, the creativity that's in your lab. Go do that in the studio, and
Yeah.
you should. But once you have that hit, that's what serves the market.
That's
That
true.
person hearing that song, that's giving them joy or something like that. That's the product. And I think we have an obligation to serve the product that consumers want.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good point.
All right. You got a game? It better be about hit songs and music.
Yeah. So, Ron apparently survived when he was building his company on fish sticks and
Yeah,
rice,
yeah. Is that
right?
crazy?
Wait, fish sticks and what was it?
And rice.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was
So
the
this
interview.
God, this is fish stick trivia,
Oh,
Oh
all
my
about
god.
the fish stick. Say, "Oh
that's
my god,"
funny.
but let's see if
Does
you
the
get
fish
the
true or false, does the fish stick have any fish in it?
Oh, no, yeah, it does have fish. Actually, hey, first question. What is the most commonly used fish in fish sticks? Is it cod, halibut, pollock, or tilapia?
Oh, I thought I had it, but
I think I got it.
The history of fish sticks was really fascinating too. It started with, like, Gordon's fishermen. I
mm,
think it was, like the 30s or 40s.
mm.
Was it
I remember those commercials, that guy in the
The
yellow
yellow raincoat.
rain thing.
the raincoat, yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon's fisherman.
Yeah.
He felt like such a fisherman. I would eat any of that stuff.
You know that guy, as soon as they were done shooting, was like, "Get me
Me
out
out
of
of this thing.
here."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it smells like fish.
He was like, "Ew." Could you imagine? He's like, "Ew, fish are disgusting." And he'd run off set, all flamboyant.
Question 2. What fish are most closely related to goldfish? Is it tuna, shark, salmon, or carp?
I've never eaten shark, I don't think. Just so you
I've
know.
I don't
never
think
eaten
Just so you guys know,
goldfish.
I don't even know what shark would be served.
I'm assuming shark probably is mahi.
Ahi?
No, swordfish. Swordfish would probably be the closest
To shark,
to
yeah.
That
shark,
you
yeah.
mean the closest thing to it? Like,
Can they serve? Is it legal to serve shark?
I don't know about in the States, but I think they do in Japan, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do, like, in Japan, is it Japan or China? They do, shark fin soup.
Mhm.
I think they actually had to create regulations because, the population of sharks was dying
Right.
Oh,
because they see it as like it's for, like, weddings and
Ferti
stuff. I think it's illegal, but they still it's, like, seen as, like, a super,
fertility
it's
drug
horrible,
too.
man.
They consider it as a fertility drug or something, I thought.
Horrible.
yeah. Okay, question 3. In Japan, what is considered dangerous to eat? Is it piranha, pufferfish, shark, or pomfret? Not pomfret, pomfret, which is a fish.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay. I'm not
Alright,
confident in my first one.
the most
Tilapia.
common
Would
what do you say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cod.
Ugh, both wrong. It's pollock.
Oh, that
Hey,
was
I'll
my
be.
second guess. That was my second guess. When you said pollock, I was like, "Oh, no longer confident in cod." But
I'll
then I went with
be.
my first choice.
Cod is actually pretty good fish. I had
Yeah.
Atlantic. Is it called black cod?
Black cod.
That was good.
Yeah,
Mm.
cod's not bad. I like mahi. Mahi, that's one of my favorites. It's, like, very,
Mahi's a cod?
fleshy.
My tuna, isn't it?
It's not.
Oh,
Mahi's not.
okay.
but that's my favorite. That's my
I
favorite.
gotcha.
Sea bass, Chilean sea bass, but
I love Chilean sea bass
oh
too.
my god, the flakiness.
Mm.
It's on the endangered list.
I know I can't. That's why I don't eat it. I've turned it off because it's so expensive. Anything that's expensive is endangered. It has to be. Like that's the law of
Yeah.
economics, I assume. So the second it goes above a certain point, I'm like, only not only is it not cost effective, it is also endangered. So slow
Yeah.
down. But I do
Yeah.
Or
love it.
super hard to fish. If then sometimes they raise the price and it's like really hard to fish.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um, okay, question
like sea
2.
monkeys, very hard to fish those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn it, they never arrived. I ordered them off the back of the
Me
comic
too.
book and they
I
never
know.
came. They never came every time. Do you remember
I
what do
never
you know what
got.
we're
I got
talking
one
about?
time, and it was like these little dead shrimp. I'm like, "Where's the
No.
monkeys?"
Where's
Because
the monkeys?
in
Where's
the
the
comic
clothes?
book, it's a
Where's
monkey
the
with
mom and
arms.
dad? There's a mother and dad and a
Yeah,
child and a yeah. For
I
crying out
what are you
loud.
talking about? You
You guys,
ordered
are you serious, Jeremy? Do you not know
he's
about
too
them?
young. He's too young.
Okay.
there's a mail order sea monkey?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you
Mail
kidding me?
order sea monkeys on the back of comic books. I particularly remember it being on the back of Archie comic books.
Yep,
Anyway,
exactly. What else
and
was in there?
um
What other products could you buy that didn't work?
um
X-ray
X-ray
glasses.
glasses and
They don't work. Decoders never fucking worked.
decoders
Nothing
never
worked.
nothing came or it
I
didn't
bought
work if
all
it
of it.
did come. I know, me too.
All of it.
Saved up my Bazooka Joe wrappers for stuff. That stuff never came.
The
Anyway.
funny thing was for the X-ray glasses, it was a pervy ad. It
It
was a
was a pervy
woman.
ad. A girl walking by a guy.
Yeah, and he can look through.
Her
She has
skirt.
like a towel on. And he
Oh,
looks
that
through
was
it,
it.
but she's not naked under. But she wears a bikini underneath.
Yeah.
He could see through the towel, but not the
Not
bikini.
the bikini.
And I'm like, these are the best glasses ever. I want X-ray glasses.
Your 9-year-old self was like, "I totally need these."
Totally need these. Nothing.
Oh, it was so funny.
And that was a whole scam. Nothing showed. You
No.
kept on saying money in
Nothing ever arrived in the mail. Nope.
ever,
Mm-mm.
ever.
Freaking
I
sea
I
monkeys.
gotta admit this. This is because this is too good. When I was probably 11 or 12, my cousin and I, we would look at the Sears catalog because the models back then would wear lingerie, and it was
Racy.
risque. Yeah, because like they would show like breast and nipple and stuff, and they don't do that anymore. They like blur everything out.
Did they really?
Yeah,
You
the
could see the
Sears.
You
whole
mean like
breast?
exposed breast?
You could see nipple. Yeah, you could see like
What?
yeah.
What
Oh, I
Sears
remember that.
catalog did you get?
It's just a regular, the standard, regular one.
I have to tell you, there's those catalogs that sell walkers and orthopedic shoes for the old people and stuff like that? There's a catalog that comes to our house, um, because of Christopher's work. I don't think I should say the name, but anyway, the catalog comes to the house, and you're going through, and it's like those old house dresses that your grandmother used to wear,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
orthopedic shoes, and the different canes where one's a seat, and it's pages and pages and pages of this stuff, the handlebars for the shower, and all
yeah,
this kind of
yeah.
stuff, and you get to like page 25, a whole assortment of sexual health products, all in their glory, purples and pinks, and
No,
I don't know what's happening with the elder generation, but
they're really getting horn doggy.
there's a demand for this stuff. I've heard it's their best-selling pages in the catalog. I mean, it's like,
Do they
"Oh,
do they have
close it
good
up
name?
and
Do
throw
they
it
have
in the."
good names for
They
them?
have horrible names. I actually and the worst part was 6 of the same catalog arrived the other day. So I had, like I had, like, 20 pages of this smut sitting on my kitchen counter.
That is awesome.
I don't even know how we got on this conversation. How did I get on this conversation?
Because we were talking about sea monkeys. You're like, "Oh, sex products."
Oh, sex toys. Yeah. Yeah, sex toys. That's it.
I
You know,
love the names they come up
Inflatables.
with sex
Yeah,
toys.
I
The
should I
triple threat penetrator. You're like, it sounds like,
I don't want any of that.
first of all, triple, like, it's way too much threat.
What's going on?
It's way too much
That
threat.
threat is way too high. That threat is way too high.
there's a grandmother out there who is just out of it, and she's rolling out dough and
Exactly.
using a vibrator instead of a rolling pin. This new rolling pin's
This
great.
is amazing. This modern rolling pin.
Yeah, why do I gotta use AA batteries?
It's this beautiful wave pattern in my pie crust. That is funny.
Oh, that's great.
And the
What's the
funny thing
name of
is it's definitely happened, right? Anything you can imagine has happened at
Has
least once
happened.
somewhere on this
Exactly.
planet at some time.
Oh my
that?
god. I don't even wanna think about returns. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, now we gotta get back to goldfish.
Yeah.
Okay.
What fish is most closely related to the goldfish?
Carp.
Tuna.
It is carp. Very good, Amy.
Amy,
Yeah.
you're on fire. If you nailed that
No,
pollock one.
I got cod, remember? I
No, I
said
know, but
cod.
you thought it was pollock. I didn't
I
even think.
thought
I was
pollock.
like, the one thing it definitely isn't is pollock. So
All right, and then finally, in Japan, what's considered dangerous to eat?
I say puffer fish.
so I'm with Amy, and I also want to add a thing. It doesn't mean they don't eat it. It's just there's a risk associated with it, right? And that's why I
Like
said puffer fish. I think there's a poisonous.
high adrenaline junkie kind of,
Yeah, so you have to cut out the right part of the fish, or otherwise it's deadly, I think.
Yeah, there's a poison sac, and I believe that sushi chefs have to get some sort of
certified.
train certification because you have to be very very careful because if you pierce it, then it taints all of it, and then
You could be
you can
very
die.
sick. Is it puffer fish then? It is?
It is.
Awesome.
Wow, I got one right.
Woohoo.
Amy got 2. This is 2 weeks in a row, Amy, that you're just
I know.
crushing
I
it.
don't know what's going on with me. I'm just on fire. Just on
God,
fire.
you've bounced back. I mean, that's what it is. You're
Thanks.
like, "Oh, Mike, I've had a bad week. We got all these things going on at home," and now you're like, "I'm back." I told you he was coming back. Who knew it'd be this fast?
Yeah, right? You said it would pass. I didn't know it was
Yeah,
gonna
well, this
pass
too.
within the episode.
Exactly. Who knew? All right, my friends. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Mike Up in Your Business and discussion with Ron Holt. Definitely check out his business because maybe you can emulate it. I'll tell you, even if you don't aspire to own a franchise one day or have a franchise, you should always build your business with that mentality of systemization. And talking about systemization, we have a little system we set for you. It's how to rate our podcast. So go to rateourpodcast.com. Yeah, that's our domain, rateourpodcast.com. And give us a rating and please subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And ask any questions you have at askmike@michalowicz.com. Good?
Cool.
Good.
Wishing you good times.
Wishing you good times.